What's up, guys? I'm BTC. The Mercy nerfs are on the live server, and a lot of people have been asking, does this make the character completely garbage, or is it still viable? So today, I'm gonna break it all down. So there's a lot of stuff that I gotta go over. We gotta break down a bunch of the different aspects of this nerf for Mercy, and how it's going to affect the different player groups. Real fast before that though, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, because anytime there are big changes in Overwatch, I'll be sure to tell you guys everything you need to know. So subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of it. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when trying to figure out the impact of these significant changes, like what just happened to Mercy, is they group all of the players together, and they say, this change is going to have an effect such and such. That's a really bad thing to do, because there's really three different groups of players. You have the lower bracket, which is bronze, silver, gold, and plat. The upper bracket, diamond, master, grandmaster, top 500. And then you have the pro level, which is something all by itself. The reason why you have to break this up is because what might work for one group is not going to necessarily work for another group. A good example of this is some of the characters that have a very high skill floor and a high skill ceiling, which are going to be like Tracer and Genji. They can be extremely effective in the upper bracket and the pro level, but in the lower bracket, players with less accuracy and lower mechanical skill are going to have a much harder time making a Tracer or a Genji be effective in a match, whereas that lower bracket player could probably be much more effective if they were using someone like a Soldier or a Junkrat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over all three groups separately, and I'm going to start with the pro level because I know a lot of people enjoy watching the Overwatch League. Let me give you a quick little image here. This is what the San Francisco Shock thinks of the Mercy changes. Yes, there you go. So they pretty much think that the character is dead, it's going to be useless, and they're not the only ones. Other pro-level support players have been saying the same thing. These changes are going to cripple Mercy to the point where she just cannot be viable in a pro-level tournament setting. And I know some people are going to ask, well, she's still a really good healer, why aren't they using her? Because the only reason why Mercy was getting used in the first place was because Resurrect was an ability, and it was ridiculously powerful when you could use it several times in a row. Now that you can only use it once every 30 seconds, it's just simply not good enough of an ability to have on your team. And her ultimate doesn't do anything that is really going to be all that effective. What Mercy's ultimate does now is basically just a really, really bad version of Transcendence. In fact, the healing output of it is just marginally better than what Lucio has when he just amps it up, right? So Mercy, when she's healing in Valkyrie, she can hit everybody on her team if they're in a small area for 60 healing per second. Lucio's amp it up is 47 healing per second, and that's just a regular ability that he can use all the time. But the main purpose of a healer ult is to be defensive, with the exception of Ana, of course. Those healer ults need to be able to counteract and protect the team against something like a Soldier who's ulting, or a Genji who's ulting, or whatever it happens to be. They need to be able to protect against that stuff. Zenyatta can do it because it has ridiculous amounts of healing. The sound barrier from Lucio obviously can buff everybody up quite a bit. Even Moira has quite a bit of healing. It's 140 per second. That's good enough to stop most of those damaging ults. However, Mercy, her ultimate, when she's in Valkyrie, all she can do is just heal everybody with her normal beam. And that's only 60 healing per second. Again, the amp it up is 47. So it's just simply not good enough to keep her team alive through those enemy attacking ults. So because of the incredibly weak defensive capabilities of that ult, and only being able to use res once every 30 seconds, I fully expect to see Mercy almost totally phased out of the pro level play. Right now she's got like a 96, 97% pick rate. I expect that to drop below 15%, maybe even below 10%. Now, here's a quick little thing though. In the Overwatch League, they are not using the changes on Mercy right now because the Overwatch League is broken up into different stages where a stage lasts a couple weeks and then they have like a little mini tournament and give out a prize and stuff like that. So they're waiting until stage 2 in order to actually implement these changes. So when you're watching the league, all of the old Mercy stuff is still in effect. Just keep that in mind. Moving on to the upper bracket, a lot of the stuff that I said for the pro level is still going to be valid here because those players in Master, Grandmaster, Top 500, they function very similar to how the pros do, except it's not quite as coordinated, and because they're obviously not on a team together, like an official team, then no one is really going to be kind of required to play a certain thing in order to meet a certain type of strategy that the team is going for. People can play whatever the heck they want to play. So yes, you're still going to see Mercy players up in those upper brackets there, but I expect to see a lot less of them, because the higher skill players are going to be able to make more effective use of characters like Lucio and Ana, and even Moira if we see a lot of these triple and quad tank lineups, which I think is probably going to happen. Now as for Zenyatta, he was popular before the Mercy nerf, and he's going to continue to be popular after the Mercy nerf. It's just the way that he works. The Discord effect is just so powerful. Adding to that, the fact that Zenyatta himself can dish out a lot of damage for a high skill player, he's definitely going to continue to be there. So for that upper bracket, you're definitely going to see a lot less of Mercy, but she's still going to be there because you're still going to have like the one-trick Mercy mains and all that sort of stuff. But overall, her effectiveness is going to be significantly reduced. Again, for a lot of the same reasons that I mentioned in the pro, the fact that her ultimate just doesn't have the defensive capabilities that the other ones do. And lastly, we have the lower bracket, which is going to be bronze, silver, gold, plat, and even in some ways diamond as well. This is where everything just kind of flips. So there is absolutely no doubt that Mercy is definitely weaker now that she's been nerfed. Even in the lower brackets, that's still going to be the case. However, it has significantly less impact on that lower bracket than it does on the higher bracket and the pro level. While Mercy is completely worthless in the pro level and mostly useless in the upper bracket, Mercy can still be very strong and viable in that lower bracket. So why is that? There's a bunch of reasons. First, the teams in the lower bracket are significantly less coordinated than the upper and the pro scene. That means that when you have someone that kind of like runs off and, gets taken out really fast, you can res them and kind of reset right there. So that lack of coordination isn't punished as much when you have a Mercy right there who can res and just kind of like reset it real fast. The next thing is when it comes to effectively healing your teammates, Mercy is one of the easiest in the game. With Zenyatta, you have to be very mindful of where those orbs are. Now, yeah, it automatically goes to the target, but you have to be a lot more aware of what's going on in the game. You have to have a very good game sense, and that is something that the lower bracket players tend to not really have. With Ana, you actually have to aim and hit your teammates in order to heal them. With Mercy, all you have to do is just left-click once, and then that's it. Your healing beam is locked on, and you're just going to continually heal that target. Even if you move around, you can be facing the other way. You can even go around the corner, and the beam is still going to stay connected for at least a couple seconds. So when it comes to raw healing output, for the lower bracket players, Mercy is still by far the best choice. As far as the ultimate goes, for the upper brackets and the pro level, a Mercy that's flying around in the air can easily be taken out. But for the lower bracket, where people have kind of bad accuracy, they're not able to deal with that Mercy that's in the air nearly as effectively. So that means Mercy can stay up there and just heal her entire team for a lot longer. Also, because a lot of the games in the lower bracket are uncoordinated, it's just kind of haphazard, people doing whatever they want, wherever they want, being able to just go up into the air and heal everybody in an area for a decent amount of health and just kind of keep them alive through like a long enduring fight where people just keep trickling in over and over and over again, that is actually kind of effective. In the lower brackets, those Lucio and Zenyatta defensive ults, while important, they're not nearly as critically important as they are in the upper and the pro level. So that means Mercy can get away with just using the Valkyrie and just kind of like healing up the rest of her team and just preventing normal damage. And that is kind of good enough. Alright, so quick recap here. At the pro level, Mercy is pretty much gone. After they go into stage 2 and the changes come into effect, I fully expect Mercy to get phased out almost entirely from the pro level scene. As for the upper bracket, Mercy is significantly worse than she was before. There's still going to be some people that decide that they want to play her, but for the most part, I expect to see a lot of the upper bracket supports playing any of the other healers in place of Mercy. And for the lower bracket, even though the nerfs are definitely bad, Mercy is still the most effective healer to use in those lower brackets. So to answer the question, is Mercy garbage or is she still viable? It all depends on where you are, what group of players you fall in. So what do you guys think about all these changes? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. The links are down below. Thanks for watching. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.